Hengist here from House of Hengist Comics, and a big welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're in Norway again as part of our Norway in Flames. We've entitled this Lilyhammer or Hammerfall. So far in the campaign we've run a number of historical battles. Well, this is the first of our actual campaign battles, and so there is a lot at stake. We've started at Lilyhammer, where we see the first sort of combined Norwegian and British operation. Their aims and objectives are to defend Lilyhammer and hold this position at all costs. As you can see, there's a large amount of water which separates both runways into the attack. And the British forces are composed basically of 4 infantry platoons with 2 headquarters light mortars, and that's about it. The Norwegians, on the other hand, have a company which has some artillery, some mortars in the headquarters, heavy machine guns, and pioneers. They're quite confident, trained, very much like the territorial British, so pretty new to combat, so to speak. Well, the Germans, they're veterans. Some of them have already fought in Poland, and this consists of a panzer company with light Panzer I and Panzer II tanks, and this company is supported by the Gebirgsjäger. All forces are approximately 850 points. So without further ado, let's get into the action. The Norwegians deploy first. There are 2 objectives down, and they are dug in but not gone to ground at this stage. They have to cover both routes towards the central jetty point where there is an objective. And there is also an objective on the far right of the table where we see the infantry here. The Germans deploy their company, which is the Panzers in the forefront, and as we can see from this photograph, they're led by Schützen. They also have 3 half-tracks as well. A lot of firepower coming against really forces which don't have a lot to meet them in terms of anti-tank assets. The Norwegians deploy their company with the British company in reserve, and the Gebirgsjäger are in reserve for the German forces. Immediately the Panzers set out, their engines basically roaring, and they head straight towards the enemy. In the first turn, the Germans also get their first automatic reserve, which is the Gebirgsjäger, and the tanks in good conditions can move at cross-country speed and move very quickly up, massed to concentrate, whilst the Gebirgsjäger take the opportunity to move at the double. They also have a mechanic with them. That isn't to see much action today, but the Germans straight away put so much firepower and begin to assault. They're initially thwarted, however, by the Norwegians, who counterattack very well, having to re-roll their hits because they don't have hand grenades, but they still push the Panzers back. It looks optimistic for the Norwegians at first, and the British start arriving as well. But no sooner had they thought things were going particularly well than the Germans again assault with so much firepower. They're literally overrun the first platoon and basically smash into the second. There's general panic basically from the Norwegians and the British, as these Germans just can't be stopped. They're concentrated firepower alone. The Gebirgsjäger haven't even fired a shot yet, and they bring in air support just to compound the misery. The Norwegians immediately call a timeout. They don't know what to do, and we have to contact Russia, where our headquarters is, and basically have a consultation, because the Norwegians and British sense they're going to have to pull out. They've got nothing there to stop them. And the Germans, just their motivation is up. Their air comes in again, strafing into the Norwegian lines. The tanks move up, blazing away, and the British managed to pull out immediately, sort of leaving the Norwegians on their own. But they felt that they had to retire. Their company was in a great deal of trouble, and the Norwegians basically continued to fight on most gallantly. But against this sort of firepower, against this sort of the veteran quality of the troops, they are really suffering. The Germans, though, they're not interested in whether then they're fighting heroically or not, the Norwegians. They have objectives and they are going to secure them. On the other side, a blocking force of mortars have come up, but they weren't really to take much part other than holding a lot of the Norwegians into place. Whilst meanwhile the infantry start to catch up with the tanks, and we're only in turn 7 at this stage out of 12 turns, and it's looking very, very dire. The Norwegians have lost 2 platoons, and now we see the first mounted assault, which is an incredibly successful assault, smashes through, drives out, annihilates the engineers, and the infantry just pound into the hill line basically and drive everything before them. The Norwegians have taken over 150 casualties. It's pretty bad. The British have managed to get off the table, and there's lots of recriminations flying around between the Norwegians and the British. But at the end of the day, nothing could stop the Panzers today. Their mounted assault completed their triumph, and it was a glorious day for German forces. As we see here, the Norwegians are compelled to withdraw rather ignominiously, and it's a German victory with 25 points taken, a lot of damage done to the Norwegians, and the Germans are in the ascendancy. Ultimately, a cracking game, mainly one-sided from the German perspective, but the Norwegians did the best they could. So please continue to support us in this first game, and a lot more games coming up. So thanks very much for your support so far, and stay tuned, more from Norway, as we follow up in our next game with a torpedo bombing attack by the German forces against some ships and vessels. So I'll say bye from now, and it's over and out, and happy wargaming.